all messed up to some extent. And that's okay. It's part of being human. But one of the problems that many people have is we tend to fall in love with this idea of being perfect, of obtaining this standard where we have no flaws and no insecurities, and we believe that personal development can get us there. But I'm not entirely convinced you can ever hit a point where you have no insecurities and no flaws, a point where you can be perfect. I'm not entirely convinced that that's something humans can achieve just from the way that we're built, the way our psyches are created, or the way they exist, I guess. I don't believe it's possible. The only way you could maybe end up doing that is if you were to somehow dissociate from your ego so much that in a way it's almost like you're dissociating from your human form. And you could almost argue that if you were able to actually do that, you would maybe be crazy or insane. I don't know. So I don't even know if it's possible to do, because maybe the one way of doing that would kind of go against the way you exist as a human. It'd be like dissociating from your very own identity. So for the vast majority of people out there, I don't believe we can obtain a point where we are completely free of insecurities and flaws. But what you can do is you can greatly diminish the impact that these things have on your life. You can greatly diminish your insecurities. Some insecurities you can even fully get rid of, but there will always be other ones that just kind of linger, that you can still greatly diminish the impact they have on you, but they'll still be there to some extent. You can't fully get rid of them. Nor do I really think we should aim to completely rid ourselves of our flaws and our insecurities, because, as I've already said, that's not possible. But what we should do is just become more comfortable existing as imperfect human beings. We should become comfortable accepting and loving ourselves as we are, knowing that we're always going to have flaws and insecurities, but not thinking that that's like a horrible thing, because it isn't. Like, it's a quality that every human being on this planet has. We all are imperfect. So I don't see why we're often so hard on ourselves for not being perfect when we can't even obtain that status. So if you take one thing out of this video, it's just that you should be more kind to yourself, more accepting of yourself, and not be so hard on yourself constantly for having flaws and insecurities. But don't get me wrong, you should definitely work on reducing the impact they have on your lives. For instance, if you have an insecurity of abandonment, a fear of abandonment because you've dated some less than stellar people in the past, work on that, because that will trip you up with your future relationships. So I'm not saying just completely accept that that's always going to be a part of your life. Work on that, because that is an insecurity you can completely get rid of. But there are other insecurities that will always be there to some extent. Ones that kind of stem more from childhood or even the human condition in some ways. For instance, a fear of not always being able to help the people you care about, and insecurities surrounding that. That can always exist to some extent. I'm just giving examples out here. Obviously there are some, I'm not going to list off all the insecurities out there, but you get what I mean, that there will be some that you can't fully completely get rid of, and that's okay. So don't make it your goal to do that. Just make it your goal to become comfortable accepting yourself as you are. We're all human. And that's pretty much the gist of the video that I wanted to talk about. There is one other part I want to touch on, which is how social media plays a role in kind of tripping us up in this regard, because there are people out there, and these influencers, who make it a point to portray their lives as being perfect, to portray themselves as being perfect human beings, where they're always having fun, enjoying their lives, having a good time. They have everything they could ever want, and their life is seemingly perfect, right? That's like never going to be true, because one thing you have to think about is these influencers make money off of the views that they get, off the attention they receive. So it's in their interest to portray their lives as being way better than they are, because it appeals to people who want that for themselves. So they'll kind of live vicariously through the influencer. But what the influencer isn't showing you is how their life is when they're not meticulously curating content to post online. Like, they're probably not super happy. Here's one thing I've learned. Usually when people are happy, they feel no need to kind of prove that to others. They don't. They're just too kind of absorbed in enjoying their own life. They don't see any need in thinking, oh, I need to document everything I'm doing right now to share it with other people and prove to them that I'm happy. That's not how happy people think. They're in the moment. They're living in the present. So they usually won't even think about sharing anything online. That's just not how they operate. So when somebody is purposely going out of their way to make their life seem amazing and perfect, you can almost guarantee that it's not. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing that. So whenever you encounter someone online who's making their life to seem perfect or making themselves to appear perfect, just don't buy into it. Do not compare yourself to them, because you're comparing yourself to an illusion, something that's not even real. They aren't that happy, and nor are they perfect. And if you ever do encounter someone who genuinely believes that they're a perfect human being, let me tell you right now, they are far more messed up than the average person, because if they truly believe they're perfect, I can tell you right now, they lack an immense amount of self-awareness. Because how the hell can you believe you're perfect? If you have a lot of self-awareness, you're going to know all of your flaws and insecurities, or almost all of them, you would hope. So if somebody truly believes that they're perfect, they lack an immense amount of self-awareness. There is no way in hell that they are going to be better collected than other people if they have no self-awareness. So it's just something to keep in mind. Do not compare your life to these people. Do not compare yourself to them either, because their life is just not as great as they're portraying it to be, and they themselves are not as great as they portray themselves to be. Everybody out there is imperfect to some extent, but usually people who have higher levels of self-awareness are going to be a bit better along than people who lack that. So there you go, just a little thing I wanted to end the video with, to show you that social media can contribute to this problem. So make sure you're actually following people who inspire you and uplift you and help you with your personal development, not people who trigger your insecurities by portraying their lives to be way better than they actually are. But anyway, that's all I have for you guys, so I truly hope you enjoyed this video. If you like content like this, be sure to subscribe for more. Otherwise, the easiest way you can help me out is just to throw a like and a comment on the video for the algorithm, and I will see you guys in the next one. Arrivederci!